It is the last thing a man says before he becomes president. A catechism between him and the Chief Justice, which concludes with him swearing he, quote, will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help me God. Nothing in there about ignoring the Constitution nor gutting it. Yet in our fourth story tonight, there is Mr. Bush doing it again and being aided and abetted by Democrats who outnumber his people on Capitol Hill. The bill, a bipartisan compromise on FISA, was rubber-stamped this morning, 293 to 129. This after impassioned debate, even between members of the same party.
Let's stand up for the Fourth Amendment. Let's remember when this country was founded, Benjamin Franklin said, those who would give up their essential liberties to achieve a measure of security deserve neither.
We have to fight on the war on terrorism, the fight against terrorism, wherever it may exist. Good intelligence is necessary for us to know the plans of the terrorist and to defeat those plans. So we can't go without a bill. That's just simply not an option. But to have a bill, we must have a bill that does not violate the Constitution of the United States. And this bill does not.
The bill stands not only to corrupt the Constitution, but will immunize telecom communities that spied on American citizens at the behest of President Bush and keep them from any legal liability. As the Senate prepares to take this up, FISA 2008, already a campaign issue, Senator Obama offered qualified support, warning that as president, he would monitor the program closely, which is nice, but not really close enough. John McCain, after blaming the ACLU and trial lawyers for delaying the passage of these bills, said he will support the measure. John Dean, the White House counsel under Richard Nixon, author of Broken Government, joins us tonight from Los Angeles for comment on this. John, good evening.
We're in a different building.
Good evening, Keith.
What happened here, do you suppose? Is this some sort of prophylactic gesture for the election on the behalf of the Democrats, or how did this transpire?
Well, I think got to give one to the terrorists for a notch on our Fourth Amendment. They really did some damage today in this so-called compromise. Contrary to what the Speaker said, it really does hurt the Constitution. So it's very troubling, and it's not a good day for civil liberties, particularly.
We have seen before, learned way after the fact, that before several critical bills like this and votes, that the Democrats were shown harrowing secrets from supposed terror threats that later turned out to be exaggerated, even fabricated. I don't have any evidence whatsoever that this happened this time or suggesting that. But given the suddenness of the Democrats' fold, does it not feel like this has happened again this time?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if it had happened. They have used fear very effectively. This is somewhat sudden in finally reaching a conclusion on what to do with a very troublesome problem that they have been resisting on. It would not surprise me also if it really is what I've been told, is that the conservative elements of the Democratic Party leaned on the leadership and said, listen, we've got some real tough opponents from Republicans in close districts. We need this. We don't want to have this hanging over our head. Let's get it solved now before it's too late.
Senator Obama's position on this confuses me. He loathes the telecom immunity. He says he would fight it immediately, and he would monitor it carefully as president. Well, the vote, though, is next week. He better do that part of the fight quick. If this gets in through the Senate, there's no way to get it out again, is there? I mean, the history of this nation in terms of lost civil liberties is pretty bad about restoring them.
Well, I spent a lot of time reading that bill today, and it's a very poorly drafted bill. But one of the things that is not clear is whether it's not possible later to go after the telecoms for criminal liability. And that's something Obama has said during this campaign he would do. Unlike prior presidents who come in and really give their predecessor a pass, he said, I won't do that. And that might be why he's just sitting back saying, well, I'm going to let this go through, but that doesn't mean I'm going to give the telecoms a pass. I would love it if he gets on the Senate floor and says, I'm keeping that option open.
In other words, let the private suits drop and have somebody in there who will actually use the laws that still exist to prosecute and make the actual statement and maybe throw a few people in jail.
Exactly. And it looks to me, as I read this bill, and I talk to a number of people in Washington familiar with the bill, some who were involved in the negotiations, and they say, we just didn't think about this issue. So as it goes to the Senate, maybe Obama's got a shot to take a future look at this thing and not let them have the pass that they think they're getting.
There would be a nice symmetry to that everybody had been so lulled into a sense of complacency because of the Bush success on this that they'd left out anything that protected anybody legally if you had a president who actually believed in the Constitution. That would be a nice touch. To that point, Jonathan Turley suggested last night, though, that this is as much about immunizing Congress for its complicity with the president as it is about anything else, to use the play on acronyms that I used last night. This is not FISA, it's CYA.
I caught your acronym, and I listened to Jonathan last night. And while it wouldn't be the first time or the last time there's been a CYA action in Washington, that isn't what I've heard. And so I'm not sure, but it's one of the things I know we'll never learn the answer to for this reason. Those people were all briefed on a classified basis, so they really can't explain it.
How convenient that is. John Dean, author of Broken Government, giving us a little hope in here that perhaps a President Obama or some future Democrat might be able to still pursue this within the courts. Thank you, John. Have a good weekend.